The entry that I would like to talk about was about gleaning, and I think it's quite interesting because this was and is still biblical practice and also very old customary practice, still very much present in different parts of the world, but I will be focusing here only on Serbia. This practice means that actually you have a right, as a poor person, you have a right to enter someone's field and glean the leftovers that you came across the field. The ambiguity of the practice of gleaning in one village where I conducted my research in Serbia was that actually the gleaning over time started to be perceived as theft. Why it was so? It was so because the ambiguity of private property, because even though private property, particularly in agricultural areas, is now under disputes, after the first harvest, the private property may become common property. But it is only after the first harvest, and it is common property temporarily. And so people usually, poor people usually go to glean, and sometimes they don't need any consent because this consent is either socially communicated, or on the other hand, the consent itself might be gotten from verbally from the landowner of the field. But the problem emerged when actually the gleaning was used as a cover for a theft. And so I just have to explain in a few words how the gleaning, the practice of gleaning is conducted so that you can understand what's the problem. So for example, in a harvested field, a group of gleaners, the group of gleaners enters, the group of gleaners enters the harvested field, but on the other hand you have a group of people who are stealing from the neighboring non-harvested field. And so these who glean are actually acting as a cover for those who steal the crops in the neighboring field. So since many people and landowners realized that this became problematic, so they actually either started to forbid the practice of gleaning because under that they thought this is actually it turned into theft. But on the other hand, people are also thinking that these kind of practices you cannot stop because these are socially embedded, they are somehow customary embedded and accepted. So up to now, I think there are some changes in the practice of gleaning. People, landowners primarily, took in their hands protection of the field because this was their main concern. Police was not responsive to their requests to protect their fields, etc., etc. So when they actually started to protect themselves, their own fields, actually the practice of gleaning, I would say, and I would argue, regained its primary understanding. So I think in past few years, social equilibrium is met again, but due to agency of landowners. So actually the poor people are given again the dignity of the poor and the right to glean, but on the other hand, lands of peasants are protected. So this would be about gleaning very shortly.